From carry-ons to carrying on, his dissent would not relent. Yes, Rand Paul, if that's his real name, was especially chatty on Tuesday, bringing the nomination of John Brennan as CIA director to a halt. I believe it's called a filibuster. The Kentucky senator began speechifying just before noon, and many, many hours later was still at it. He had previously promised to F-buster, as the young people call it, after receiving a letter from Eric Holder that refused to rule out drone strikes within the U.S. in, quote, extraordinary circumstances, end quote, like the 9/11 attacks. Let's start at the beginning.
I will speak until I can no longer speak. I will speak as long as it takes until the alarm is sounded from coast to coast that our Constitution is important, that your rights to trial by jury are precious, that no American should be killed by a drone on American soil without first being charged with a crime.
Let's check in a little later, shall we?
Alice never fell down a rabbit hole, and the White Queen's caustic judgments are not really a threat to your security. Or has America the Beautiful become Alice's wonderland? No, no, said the Queen, Alice said loudly. The idea of having the sentence first? Hold your tongue, said the Queen, turning purple. I won't, said Alice. Release the drones, said the Queen.
He was obviously quoting Little Red Riding Hood, the E.B. Johnson classic. Yeah. For more, let's go live to Red Eye senior congressional correspondent Shy Goat. SG? You are adorable, Shy Goat. Don't be shy. Come on. We love you. Hey, Jedediah, do you stand with Rand or do you smolder with Holder?
I kind of love Rand Paul now, I have to say. I thought this was amazing. The Alice in Wonderland part was my favorite, I have to admit. And the way he acted it out, I mean, he's got talent.
He does have
talent. Pretty impressive.
Exactly.
But look, he does what most people wouldn't do. Most senators wouldn't even think to do this. They wouldn't spend their time fighting for an issue like this. And it's really easy for Barack Obama or Eric Holder to have stopped this and just said, you know what, we don't want Americans to be killed on American soil with drones unless we're under attack. We don't condone that. We don't authorize it. It would have been really easy for them to stop this. And yet, that seems like something that's been really hard for our president to admit for some reason.
This was showboating and nothing more. This is ridiculous. This was exactly like when Trey Anastasio plays a 35-minute solo. Look, I can do this. Nobody wants to listen to it, though. It was annoying. It was dumb. It was like a bad Andy Kaufman routine. It accomplished nothing. And it was a showpiece. It was a showpiece. It was a way for the right to take a shot at the left, and I get it, but
it's a left. But it's not a right or left thing,
no,
Joe. And thank you for your Phish reference.
Yes.
But no, I don't think, Matt, that this is right or left. This is about kind of a bizarre world we live in, where you have an administration who condemned waterboarding, i.e. drowning, but it's for droning.
Yeah,
it's kind of a weird thing.
There's a pretty good piece in the Daily Beast recently about this. There's a new Civil Liberties Caucus in the Senate, and it's bipartisan, basically. It's Rand Paul, Ron Wyden, Democrat from Oregon, Mike Lee, who's helping him out, and other people who are actually talking about this in a serious way, which we haven't seen in a long time, which is awesome. And it's like the #1 Twitter hashtag trending, and they're reading from the tweets. Ted Cruz, I swear to God, was like reading live tweets on the Senate floor.
When have we become?
Exactly.
When adults are reading tweets.
I would prefer that to actually passing laws, right?
That's a good point.
But also it's a conversation that we just haven't had, and a lot of what he's doing is reminding the president of how he ran for president.
Yes,
he put himself out there as the anti-George W. Bush, that he's going to...
He's more Bush than Bush.
He's more Bush than Bush.
He's more Bush than Bush.
And Paul's calling him out.
He's Bush cubed.
But I mean, but here's what I'm saying. You don't have people that align with the... to me, and you know me, I don't vote.
Do I know you?
You used to.
No, the real you. The real you.
Here's my point. If we can't argue the fact that the right is the team that usually doesn't really have a problem with this sort of thing. Yep. So don't you think they're showboating a little bit? Going, look what Obama's doing now.
But Joe, you're making a mistake. Rand Paul is at his heart a libertarian. He's not a. I would not put him as a traditional conservative. I like drones.
Okay.
So I agree with you.
Right.
The argument that you're making, though, can be made against the left, who, if Bush was doing this, would be up in arms. I hate using that cliche because it's
they absolutely would be. I agree with you there.
They would be voting in a majority with Rand Paul instead of today in the filibuster. He said, "I will stop this right now if we can just get a non-binding, since the Senate resolution, unanimous, saying that we all think that it's kind of bad to drone Americans to death on their own soil." And Dick Durbin, Democrat from wherever the hell he's from, said, "No, I'm not ready to go there yet." So he's still talking.
You know what? You convinced me. I changed my argument. I apologize for disagreeing with you and you and you. And I will now speak until I can't speak anymore. To show how sorry I am.
Bill, here's what gets me. Here's what gets me, Bill, besides you. Here you have Eric Holder, who is positively frightened of a law-abiding citizen with a gun, but not with a government with drones. Isn't that a bit weird for a leftist?
I am, to use a non-cliche, down in legs at that comment, Greg. I'd like to introduce that as a new one, actually, that people can use if they're sick with up in arms. I think some cynics would say that this is less a man who's standing up for his ideals and more a guy that's trying to get out of the shadow of his dad and make a name for himself on that crazy little game we call filibustering. And those cynics are absolutely right.
But don't you think?
No, I don't think so at all.
We haven't had a filibuster since the great filibuster of 1883 by Jackie Thompson.
Yeah.
That one? The Jackie Thompson.
R.I.P. Jackie.
Filibustering on pastrami and the dangers of pastrami.
And he's not reading out of the phone book. That's what Harry Reid did when he did this for 13 hours.
That would actually be fun.
Rand Paul really cares about privacy issues. He really cares about these issues. If you follow his career at all, he is the guy out front and center calling out Republicans, calling out Democrats. Whoever he needs to call out on these issues, he does it. So I think
frankly, I agree with him on that. Having said that, anyone who's really into privacy is probably secretly creepy. Doing really weird stuff. Really, I mean, it's one thing to really like privacy, but if you're that impassioned about it, then you got some big skeletons.
So you're saying our founding fathers were perverts?
Yes.
He's sick.
Have you heard some of Benjamin Franklin's quotes? He was disgusting.
He was the only crazy one of the bunch, but he did bring a lot of them into his perverted fold.
Oh, he bathed with them.
He didn't
without clothing.
He didn't just invent electricity; he created a lot of it. All right.